And if I had to be another person to stand up, if I think after really going through this and looking at the files and looking at the case, if I really feel that Karen Reed didn't do this and I have to be a voice that stands up and helps, I will.
We are expecting to learn more about the allegations against the girlfriend of a Boston police officer who was found unresponsive in the snow Saturday morning. I-Team sources say Karen Reed was in a relationship with John O'Keefe. She's facing charges including motor vehicle homicide and manslaughter.
We're the only ones fighting for the truth of what happened to John O'Keefe. And me and my family and my attorneys and my team have marshaled every resource to get to the truth. It just feels like no one else wants it.
Just to be clear, you didn't do it.
We know who did it, Steve. We know. And we know who spearheaded this cover-up. You all know.
And no, she didn't do it. No, she didn't do it. This is an innocent woman. She didn't do it.
I tried to save his life.
Yeah.
I tried to save his life at 6 in the morning. I was covered in his blood. I was the only one trying to save his life.
Why'd you admit to it?
She didn't admit to it. She didn't admit to anything close to that. Nothing close to that. And you should know that.
That was like 3 or 4 times she admitted to it.
No, she didn't.
That's not true.
She asked a question. She asked a question, which is very different. She didn't admit to anything.
I'm going to tell you one thing. Karen Reed's not going to fold. Karen Reed's not going to give up. Defense team's not going to quit. The Free Karen Reed movement is going to continue. We will continue to raise funds for her. We will continue to do standouts across Massachusetts, across the nation, across the world to let everybody know what's going on here in the state of Massachusetts, the corruption. And we will continue to get the word out there. Believe me. Believe me. When I was skinny. I always laugh at that video. We put the pounds on lately. We put the pounds on. And the funny thing about it, I was supposed to start a diet today. I was supposed to like clean my diet up and stop drinking soda and all that. So funny story real quick before I bring Lauren on. I head out to the studio because we just got off a fantastic live. We simulcast with Young Jerks. I want to thank Mike for having me over there on his show. And we had retired Mass State Police Todd McGee on and Senator Michael O'Moore. And we talked about Trooper Enrique Delgado Garcia and Senator Moore's open letter to Attorney General Andrew Campbell. It was phenomenal. We did like an hour. It was just great. Lots of great questions, lots of great answers. And hopefully we get some follow-up soon. But anyway, I was supposed to start a diet today. So I know this place that has fantastic salads. And I'm like, I'm going to get a salad and go to the studio. And I have like an hour to hang out. And I'm going to eat, have a great salad with some chicken in it. I order the salad online before I leave work. I go to the place and they're closed. So I ain't getting a salad. And I'm like, where the frig am I going to get food right now? So of course, dial up the old DoorDash. What's already in there that I've ordered from before? Let's get some Five Guys. So I did bad. Burger, fries, Diet Coke. I mean, all the stuff that I'm not supposed to be eating right now. But there's always tomorrow. And I did meal prep for some stuff for tomorrow. So we're going to start eating clean tomorrow. And that's my story. But I'm not going to let my guest wait too much longer. We're going to bring her on. She's not here live in studio today, but on Sunday morning, she will be joining me. And we're going to have some fun here in the studio. She'll sit right next to me. And we're going to have some fun. But let's bring Lauren in here. Hello, Lauren.
Hi, Brian. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm pretty good this evening.
Did you catch you? Well, yeah, you did. Because I
was in the chat. Yeah.
Yeah, you moderated for me. I appreciate that. Thank you. What did you think of the show with Senator Moore?
I thought it was fantastic. I think it's awesome that we have elected officials getting involved now. I think we really need that. We need them to stand up for Enrique, to stand up for what's right. And I really appreciate Senator Moore's willingness to come on the show and participate in a panel. I think that people like him, if they kind of come down to our level, so to speak, and chat with us in our YouTube lives, I think that's a really good way to connect with the people.
No, I agree. And listen, I understand, and I'm not taking any shots here, but you know, we're gonna listen, I thought it was great. The open letter's great. We got to calm down. I'm antsy, and I know everybody out there's antsy. They want answers to what happened to Enrique. We want justice in Karen's case. We want justice for John O'Keefe, Sandra Birchmore, and all the cases that we cover here, just en route, all the cases that we cover here on this channel. Not Massachusetts based, but Robert Brooks. We've started talking about that. We're going to get to the Koberger case come this fall. I'm going to start covering that again. Brian Walsh's case will be following that. But my bigger point in all of this is, I understand, and there's only certain things that they can say and talk about. And I saw this in the chat. Typical politician answer. Yes, that's what we're going to get. But I think, to your credit, like you said, the willingness to allow to come on, give us some answers as to that they're inquiring, and I give him a lot of credit, because he's the one, along with those other senators, that are kind of rattling the cage in this and wanting to get some answers. And it's nice to know that we have a senator that's behind this, and I'm going to hold him to it. I want to make sure that he continues to ask questions till we get answers in this case.
Yeah, I hope he does come back in a couple months with some updates, like he said on the live he was willing to do. Like you said, just keep him accountable for it. You know what I mean? I think that's really important.
Yeah, thank you. Kathleen says it was a great show. Everybody loved the show. So I'd love to have him back on. I think it would be really great to have him back on. Chunky Higgins, check it. He says Brian Higgins needs to lose about 250 pounds. I agree. So listen, I don't think we really had any type of format. I was just like, I don't think there's a lot of people streaming tonight. Let's jump on and just casually do a show. There wasn't really any like topic, but obviously we're going to talk about Karen Reed. She's got a very busy week coming up in here in court, and I wanted to bring this up here. So if anybody is trying to understand what's going to happen this week, maybe we can bring some clarity to it. So tomorrow at 9 a.m., Karen has a motion hearing. I'm pretty sure it's going to go all damn day, knowing how these hearings have been in the last couple of hearings that we've sat through. On the 5th, which is Wednesday, she has to go to the federal court in South Boston. That's at 9:30. And then immediately after that, she has to drive back over to Norfolk Superior Court for 2 p.m. Turtle Boy has a hearing. Turtle Boy has a hearing on his motion to dismiss. How ironic that these are all like lining up at the same time, right?
Yeah.
We're going to hear motion dismissed tomorrow. And then you have Turtle Boy on Wednesday as well with motion dismissed. And then as needed on Friday, if required, Karen will be back in court on the 7th at 9 a.m. That's if required. I'm probably already going to tell you right now, the way that things have gone with Karen and how this judge operates, she's probably going to be in court on Friday. What do you think, Lauren?
I agree. I think she's going to be at court on Friday, and I think we're going to have the second trial on April 1st. Unfortunately, I do not think Bev is going to let this be dismissed.
Yeah, I just I think she's going to do one of these and go, okay,
A little lots of size.
The lots of size. I need my weekends. You know how it's been. But just to clear any confusion up, if that is if people want to know the schedule, that is the schedule. I will be at the courthouse tomorrow. So I will be out there tomorrow at 9 a.m. Supporting Karen, getting to see a lot of those boots on the ground people that I have not touched base with in a while, because January and February, I was fucking sick. And I wasn't going anywhere. I wasn't going anywhere. I still have the stupid thing that I can't get over. You sound better since the last time I saw you in person. How are you feeling?
I'm finally over that hump. Like I was pretty sick for like a good week. My first week of my new job, actually, I had to call out for 2 days. I felt so bad, but I had a good lingering cough for like 2 weeks, and I finally feel like that's over. Like every time I would laugh, I sounded like I smoked a pack a day for 30 years. Yeah. But yeah, no, I do think I'm finally over that hump, thankfully.
That's good. Yeah. That's good. Yeah. I still have a little congestion, drippy, whatever the hell you want to call it, postnasal drip.
Yeah.
The sinuses. But I will say this. I do know, and I wonder if this contributed to it. So before I had that nasty double root canal, obviously I had an infection and I had to go on penicillin and all that. And then when I had the double root canal, my general dentist said, wow, I was looking at your x-rays and that top one, they went really deep in your nasal cavity. So I'm pretty sure that pushed the infection into my body.
Yeah.
And that's what probably caused all this. But I'm wondering, you know, because it was so deep in my nasal cavity, now actually having the temporary cap they put on there, or the filling or whatever, crown, I wonder if that's now helping properly here, because I've been like this for a week and then this is the best I have felt. So
That's good.
you know, we'll get the permanent one in there soon, and then we'll plug all the holes in my head.
Yeah.
and we should be better. So
Yeah.
let's do this. I have an article we'll bring up here from Boston 25. So tomorrow we're looking at, and this is Karen Reed's, is poorly worded. Karen Reed's defense clarifies payments to crash reconstruction experts. Let's just read through a little bit of this. I'm not going to read through the whole thing. And then what I want to do, and it's funny, I said to Lauren, you know, what we should do is let's review Ted Daniel part 2 when Karen's inside the SUV. I'd love to hear your opinion about that. She goes, I haven't even watched it yet. I said, there's no problem. We'll organically watch it and we can oohs and ahs together. And I thought that would be something that we could go through. So let me read through this a little bit. In Dedham, Mass, the judge presiding over the Karen Reed murder case could rule as early as Tuesday if there was misconduct by the defense in their handling of the 2 expert witnesses. All right, Lauren, I'm going to put you on the spot. How do you think Bev's going to rule on this one? What's your opinion? An allowed Arthur or what? You sound like Bev.
Well, I want to believe that she's going to allow it because that's the right thing to do. But given her history and clear bias against Karen, I don't know. I'm nervous. I'm nervous that she's going to not allow ARCA, which I don't know. It's such a key piece of evidence. I think that the ARCA report is the biggest piece of evidence they need. I think that the ARCA report is what should have stopped this from going to trial in the first place. And I think, unfortunately, the defense is going to have a lot more of a difficult time if they're not allowed to present it.
Yeah, I mean, to me right now, I think that is obviously the main focus of their defense. That's really what they should be focusing on. And, you know, we talked about this in some of the last couple of lives, and I've brought this up, and it's funny because I see some of the other channels saying it now, is the KISS, that acronym of keep it simple, stupid. And I'm not calling any of these attorneys stupid or anybody stupid, because they're obviously very smart individuals, but keep it simple this time. And, you know, as we heard from Ronnie, the juror, and this is going to be the thing that Karen Reed's team is going to have to attack in this. And what did Ronnie said? What they debated and got on was 2 people got in a car. They drove over to 34 Fairview. One of them got out. One of them drove away. One of them died. That's how they looked at this. They didn't look at everything in between, you know, all the things that we know about the McAlberts, what they did, all the things that went on inside 34 Fairview. My opinion of who did this, all the ridiculous corruption in the police investigation, the Mass State Police, the Canton Police, everything that absolutely was manufactured and put out there to frame Karen Reed in this. They didn't look at any of that.
Nope. They call them
need to do. What's that, Lauren?
They call them distractors.
Distractors. Yes, the distractors.
Yeah.
What they need to do is make sure that ARCA is on the record, that they're able to use ARCA, and then just in the simplest form to break this down to this new jury and say, did not happen. And this is why. And we're going to have 2 gentlemen to testify to this. And this is going to be, and they're going to show you and tell you why. And I also want to see this. I want to see a visual representation. Let's see a reenactment, because that's what ARCA is great at. You go to their YouTube page, that's all they do. is they do recreations with the data that they have, put a visual out, and show this jury it is not possible. It is not possible. I think that's what they have to focus on. What do you think?
I agree. I think that, other people have said this before, but all of the Free Karen Reed supporters, we were following this before the trial. We've had a lot more time than the jurors did to soak in all the information and to really analyze the facts when they only had 10 weeks and they didn't know everything we knew.
Yeah.
And based on what Ronnie told us, I really do think that it was a little bit too complicated. There was too much going on, and they glazed over the most important things that we all thought were, the nail in the coffin, the biggest pieces of evidence. And I agree. Keep it simple, stupid. I like to say, keep it simple, sweetie. But
There you go. You can say that from now on, right?
Yeah, keep it simple, sweetie.
Sweetie.
But I think that we have to remember that these are just common folks. Some of them are, pretty highly educated, but they didn't have access to what we had access to. They didn't have the same amount of time to analyze that we had. And I think the theory, well, not the theory, we know that it was a cover up, but presenting that to them, I think just kind of complicated it. And
They were
threw them for a loop.
distractors. Remember,
Distractors. Yeah. I think it's easier to convince a jury. It will be easier to convince them Karen didn't do it than Karen was framed. All they need to focus on is establishing
the
enough
accident
reasonable
itself.
doubt. Yes. Establish the reasonable doubt. Like, we don't know who did it. We do. But tell the jury, we don't know who did it, but it wasn't Karen. That's all they got to do.
Right. And here's the evidence to support it.
Exactly.
That John O'Keefe didn't make contact with Karen Reed's SUV, and Karen Reed's SUV, no way in hell, made contact with John O'Keefe. That is the simplest point here. Show them, prove it, put the evidence in front of that jury, and they're going to get it. They're going to get it. And I think that's the big, huge focus in all of this. One thing that I do love, though, that we've seen recently in some of the hearings, and I want to go back, not last hearing, but the hearing before, was Liza getting up and putting on the record like, hey, let's talk about the Sandra Birchmore case. Let's talk about the federal investigation into the Sandra Birchmore case. Oh, and by the way, there's a lot of colluding, a lot of, colluding officers in that case that are involved in the Karen Reed case. What's the coincidences here, right? And I love the fact that they're saying, well, give us an update on Trooper Proctor's status. Because, I mean, I know I'm watching. I know you're watching. I know the chat is watching. It's been, 2 hearings now? And then the next one's going to be on March 13th. So it feels like they're just kind of pushing along. I don't know. Maybe they're eating donuts, drinking coffee in that room. I mean, what do you think, Lauren? Are they delaying this till after the trial to give the disciplinary to Trooper Proctor, or are we going to get an answer here soon?
I think that they are going to delay it. I think they're going to delay it because if he's out, that really hurts the prosecution's case.
Of course.
I think they're going to wait it out until this trial is over. Yeah, I do. I think they're going to wait it out, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think we're heading in that direction as well. Let's go back to this article really quick, and we'll go through this. So the case is due back in Dedham Superior Court. Let's see. Special prosecutor Hank Brennan accused the defense early this month of essentially lying about dealings that they had with ACA. The ACA crash reconstructions experts, Dr. Daniel Wolf and Andrew Rensler, bringing the hearing on Tuesday, February 18th, to an abrupt end.
I have a grave concern.
What's that?
I have a grave concern, she said.
Grave concerns, yes. Well, you know what? I have grave concerns about the investigation of Karen Reed and the prosecution of Karen Reed. So in a new court filing Monday, Reed's defense sought to clarify statements made in the documents for previous hearings, speculating specifically a motion that states that ACA crash experts were not hired by a third-party defense. Isn't it amazing? Ronnie even said during that interview that they thought that Turtle Boy hired the ACA experts. That's insane.
Yeah. First of all, they should not have even unless they knew who he was before the trial,
Makes sense.
they should not have known that he was connected to this in any
Yeah.
capacity.
So who tipped them?
Who tipped them? But also, first of all, if Turtle Boy, even if he actually did hire the ARCA team, why did they think that would be allowed as evidence?
I know. That's a good point too. And he's like, and you know, where the fuck would you even get the funding to hire them? You know what I mean? Like, not saying that Aiden doesn't have that money, but I'm saying, like, just in general, like, who the fuck would throw up that? You know, like, all right, so we're gonna have this guy, this independent journalist that's sitting in court. Oh yeah, well, he must have been the one that hired them. That makes no sense. Like, who put that thought or theory in their head?
Yeah. Yeah. That to me, when I heard that, I was like, my jaw hit the floor. I was like, how did they even know that he was connected to this? And why did they think that the judge would allow it as evidence
I know,
if
it's
he
crazy.
did hire them?
They allow, and they allow that, well, or they just allow that to go on, but they won't talk about, well, they were hired independently by the feds. It's amazing. It's amazing. All right,
If
so
they
let's
knew
read
it
on
was
here.
the feds, it would have been a game changer. I think if the jury had been allowed to know that ARCA was a federal investigation,
Of course.
I think it would have been a very different outcome.
If the jury was allowed to hear that, Karen wouldn't be going into a second trial on April 1st. She would have been exonerated, walking out of court, going like this on her way out. I told her. So I don't know if y'all know. We went out the other night for I got invited to a dinner, and Karen was there, and we had a celebration for her 45th birthday. And I was joking around with her. I said, Karen, when you're exonerated, you need to walk out of that courtroom. I know she won't do it because she's classy, but
she's too
just
classy.
give the camera this and just smile like, fuck you, you know, like, and she was cracking up. She was dying laughing. But you know, I know she won't do that. She's going to follow the advice of her attorneys and treat it classy. And then we'll have some civil lawsuits, and Karen will be a multi-billionaire and sue the shit out of all these entities and go on with her life. You know, and she deserves that. She's been through hell for almost the past 3 years. You know, she started this at 41. She's now 45 years old. I mean, it's insane. It's crazy.
I can't imagine spending multiple years of my life.
Yeah. I mean, she's liquidated her assets.
Everything.
Like everything. Her home, her job, her 401k account. I mean, you're going to hear that in the interview. We're going to play it again because I think it's really valuable now. You know, hearing all that and knowing more about what's been going on. So let me go back to this really quick. So it goes on to say, quote, the statement was poorly worded and should have been reflected more specifically that the defense did not hire, retain, or pay ACA LLC to engage the reconstruction analyst and or testing that has been performed by ACA in connection with this case. Attorney Elizabeth Little wrote in an affidavit or an afterdavid. In corresponding filing, Reed's defense team admits to paying ACA experts for the time and expense after their trial. According to the document, the payments include travel expenses and time associated with traveling to Norfolk Superior Court, less than 1 hour in calls at the defense to coordinate attendance and discuss the expert's background, time spent testifying in court, and the expert's internal preparation for trial. Wolf and Rentschler both testified on their behalf that Reed, in 2024, that stated that the injuries to Reed's Boston police officer boyfriend weren't consistent with the vehicle strike. Brennan has alleged that the defense hid communication. See, here it is. That right there is the telling sentence in all of that. I just want to read that back. Defense, let's see. Wolf and Rentschler both testified on behalf of Reed 2024 that stated the injuries to Reed's Boston police officer boyfriend weren't consistent with the vehicle strike. And here comes Brennan because he fucking knows this is it. This is the key evidence. And if this gets in front of a jury, the Commonwealth's fucked. The Commonwealth is absolutely fucked in all this. Why do you think that they've pushed so hard to keep this out? They want to get rid of the dog bite evidence. Yeah. They wanted to get rid of ACA. I'm trying to think of some of the other things because there's been so many other things.
Google search.
The Google search. Let's get that out. Let's get Green out. Let's get Russell out. This is all the stuff that has absolutely proved that Karen Reed is 100% innocent and didn't do this.
Yep. Yep.
So let's see. Brennan is alleged that the defense hid communications with Acker in more than $23,000 payment. So it's a lot of this is just reviewing this article, but I wanted to go over this. And again, now we're finding out that this, you know, the DVR system in Canton Police Department. How do you even trust the video that if the video is even found in its entirety in its whole? How do we even know if that's the original video? Now it's supposedly on some retired police officers' iCloud. They need to get that, and things have been erased, and we know it's been flipped up and down, left and right. What is it? Stranger Things in the upside down.
Yeah.
I don't trust anything from these fucking police department now. I don't trust it.
No, me neither. And you know, the other night on TV's stream, he was showing the Sallyport video and like how there were just like these gaps of time and these like, jumps, like glitches, where it's like, wait, where the hell did that person come from? Like the ghosts, like it's so chopped up and edited that it's like it's a mess. It's a mess.
Yeah, it's a complete mess. Steph, thank you so much for the $10 super chat. She says Brian's passion is contagious. JEDG, Free Karen Reed, and Justice for John O'Keefe. I love that. Thank you, thank you. And if anybody wants their chat read out aloud to the classroom, I'll steal one from TV here. To the classroom, you can super chat, send me in a Cash App, and it goes to help keep the lights on here in the studio. It really does. Let's see. So yeah, you know, I don't know what's gonna I mean, I have an idea of what's gonna happen tomorrow. You know, we saw that they wanted to get the Commonwealth wanted to get Jackson kicked off the case. I don't think that's gonna I know that's not gonna happen, because you know why? Here's the funny thing about it. We sat through a 5-hour hearing testimony of Robert Alessi, who's amazing, an amazing attorney, outlined and timelined the whole issue with Acker. Okay. And I looked at it and I said, it's funny. We get through the conclusion of his presentation, 4.5 hours, 4.5 hours, Lauren. Brennan gets up to do his rebuttal. And then what does Bev do? She has Jackson, Little, and Yannetti stand up, put it on the record, and ask them, did you know of this? No, we did not. Did you know of this? No, we did not. Do you know of this? No, we did not. All three attorneys. Not going to ask Alessi because he wasn't there in the first trial. They all answer no. Now, do you think that an attorney would get up and this is for the anti-free Karen Reed crowd? Do you absolutely think that 3 brilliant attorneys, wonderful attorneys, would get up and risk by lying and putting their law license on the table and possibly have a disbarment or a heavy discipline in this and lie and put that on the record to get caught and then all 3 attorneys get fucked? I don't see it. I don't think they would do that. Your thoughts, Lauren?
I agree. I don't think they would do that. They wouldn't risk, their careers and their reputations, but also they so strongly believe in Karen's innocence that they would not risk putting her in a situation that's going to affect her defense and her ability to defend herself by, getting Jackson removed or risk the most key piece of evidence being thrown out, that being art. I agree with you.
Ak is the key in all of this right now.
100%.
These are very important motion hearings and hearings that are coming up in the next couple of days. It's very important. I just want to do this. Stephanie, thank you so much for your $10. She said, make up for the YouTube taxes. Keep those lights on, and I appreciate you. I appreciate you. I appreciate you for supporting this channel. You know, it's been rough. It's been a tough space kind of in the YouTube world. And I got to say, I've had some really fantastic people that have really supported this channel. And, you know, I want to start with the subscribers and the members first, and my moderators. You all have done a phenomenal job here to come here and kind of keep this channel going. It's been tough for me for the last couple of weeks, and I think the toughness is just kind of finding space right now, because there's a lot of people covering this, and we have a lot of wonderful experts and attorneys that are talking about this, and I understand people want to go and hear that when all these motions drop, but I don't want us to be forgotten in all of this. And what I'm saying by that is the people here that have been here from the beginning, obviously the man himself, Turtle Boy, will never be forgotten in any of this. Never be forgotten in this. He is the man. He is the man on top. Fully support him. Love what he's done. He's done a lot for Karen. He's done a lot to expose all of these motherfuckers in all of this. But I give a lot of credit to two channels that have really supported me here on this panel, has come here, promoted my channel, and I appreciate that. Mazamania, yes, from the start, made a great connection. He's a friend for life. He's been supporting this channel, and I appreciate that. And then now my newfound friendship with Mike from the Young Jerks. He's been here from the beginning as well too. And I just feel like, we've been really the core people that have been pounding the ground in all of this. And I wish success to all of those channels. And I don't want to forget anybody else. All the channels that have come after, the Glares, the Nurse Kims, the Melanie Littles, all them, the lawyer, Emily D. Baker, and I apologize if I've left anybody else, but you all know who you are. You all do your parts in all of this. You all have wonderful channels. You've captivated your own audiences. You've done a lot for Karen. We need to keep this going. And I made my commitment the other night when I was at that dinner. I looked at the Reeds in their face. I looked at Karen in the face and said, I am here until the end. Until the end. And the end doesn't stop until Karen Reed walks out of that courtroom 100% completely exonerated and go on with her life. That's all that we want to happen. And it doesn't stop there, because we now need justice for John O'Keefe as well. He cannot be forgotten in this. He will not be forgotten in this. And, that's where it ends. And then we have other cases that we need to go on to and find justice in those cases as well. But I commend all those people that have been in this from the start. I'll be honest, there's been many times, and I know Mike has been transparent about this on his channel, like, I don't know if I can keep doing this, or I don't know if I can keep going, but we do, because we care, and it's here in our heart. I know that for me anyway. And I just try to do everything I can to support, who I feel that the people that should be supported, and obviously, supporting Karen and all of this. So it has been a very interesting 2.5 years of my life, especially this last year got very interesting for me. And it's been a lot of, what's that?
Me too.
Yeah.
It's been a year.
It's been a lot of ups and downs and left and rights. And I keep forgetting that damn Stranger Things thing, upside down in the upside down. But it's been all worth it. I've met a lot of phenomenal people through all of this. I've made great friends. I've had wonderful people that have come to this panel and give me their expertise, like Todd McGee, Nan Gallagher. I've had Melanie Little on the channel, fucking Aiden Carney on the channel, and the list goes on and on. And it's been a great ride, and I hope this can just keep building, and I want this channel to flourish and still, and continue to make those positive connections with people and hear people's stories, because that's what matters. So I'll stop talking. Lauren, how did you get involved in this? I'm gonna get a water. Hang on one second.
Yeah, you're fine. But I just quickly going back to what Brian said about how, how some days they're like, I don't know how I keep doing this. If Karen can keep doing this, so can we. You know what I mean? If Karen can keep doing this, we can find the strength to do this. I just wanted to say that really quickly. Yeah. But so how I got into it, I watched the Framed video on YouTube pretty soon after it came out. I'd kind of been a casual follower of Turtle Boy for a couple of years at that point. I found him because he wrote an article about someone I knew. And,
oh, wow.
Yeah, a DJ. I had hired a DJ for an event, And
That's right. The DJ. Tell everybody about the DJ story.
so if you want to read the article, Google Turtle Boy DJ Choke a Bitch. The article came out like 2 months after I hired him. In my defense, I did do my research.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, this person clearly has a problem with alcohol and, abusive towards his, I think, wife or girlfriend. And he was actually a phenomenal DJ until the last hour of the event. And we didn't realize he had been drinking most of the event. I think he was hiding bottles under his desk or whatever. And he got extremely drunk. He was falling all over himself. And some people had to kind of sit him down at the end of the event and be like, dude, you need to relax. And the event was in Walpole and he had to go back to Worcester. So he was not allowed to leave. And the police got called and everything, but they never ran his name through the system.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they would have found out he was on probation and wasn't supposed to be drinking and would have been arrested. But apparently it was his lucky night because the police didn't run him through the system. They just kind of made sure he was good to drive. And he had sat in the parking lot for a few hours after everybody left.
Right.
So anyways, so he that happened. And the next day I started Googling his name and I found the Turtle Boy article, and it literally was published like 2 months after I had hired him. So that was how I started following Turtle Boy. And then the framed video came out. And my jaw was on the floor. I was like, holy crap, this is insane. And I was just following everything silently in the background. I actually didn't even find the Facebook group until the trial started.
Yeah.
But I was just in there quietly. I wasn't really posting anything. And I was actually living in Virginia at the time. I lived in Virginia for 4.5 years, and then I just moved back in November. So I was up here Labor Day weekend visiting family when they had the first national standout. And I had to drive back to Virginia that day. And so I had really bad FOMO. I was actually on the drive. I was the passenger and I was streaming. I streamed your live from a few different standouts. And I think I streamed a couple other people too. And I was just like, oh, I wish I could be there. I wish I could be doing this today. And so I had the idea, I lived about an hour from DC. I was like, I should do a standout in DC in front of the White House. And I posted about it, got some interest, and I co-organized it with a lovely lady named Kathy. She may be watching. So if she is, hi, Kathy. And we met up and there was like maybe 6 people. Tim and Nathan were there, which was awesome. I got to meet them. We got some really awesome pictures. We stood out there for about 3 hours. I was interviewed by an independent journalist down there.
That's
and
awesome.
He posted about us on his Instagram. This was October 6th, I think. So Enrique was a very new news story. And I made a sign for him. I talked about him in an interview. And that's kind of how I got into it. And I messaged a few creators just being like, hey, can you post about the DC standout? I want to get some interest in it. And you were the first one to get back to me. And then, we just stayed in communication and became friends.
Yep.
So that's my story. That's my free Karen Reed story.
That's awesome. And you're going to plan to hopefully go back maybe this spring and do another one.
I'm thinking about it. Yeah. If I can't go, then my co-organizer, Kathy, may go. But it is cherry blossom season and it's predicted to be peak the weekend of the next national standout. So if anybody does want to go down that weekend and stand in front of the White House, you can also get an awesome little day out of the beautiful, beautiful cherry blossoms there. And DC is just a cool place to visit. So,
I've been driving by the highway, through DC, but I've never had the opportunity to go there and go, and I want to go.
Yeah.
I think it'd be really cool. And I'd love to go and just document it and just take a road trip and go and document the
Yeah.
whole thing, do some streams along the way. And I think
Mhm.
that would be badass.
Yeah.
And this is kind of crazy too, because I didn't realize this, but Lauren was showing me a bunch of pictures of like all the other protests that go on daily there. I didn't realize that there's so many fucking people there on a daily basis, like protesting everything. She had like all these like crazy signs, like people protesting Biden and Trump and fucking, I don't know, like the soil content, the mineral content of the soil in Vermont is just fucking crazy. And I didn't realize it's really like that every day. There's a lot of action going on.
Oh yeah. Lots and lots of people go every single day. It's a very popular place to protest. There were lots of demonstrations that day. At the time, there were a lot of like Palestine demonstrations. But there was so many people. I was actually glad that we were able to get like a good spot on like the lawn area to set ourselves up, and people would walk by and they would come up and ask questions, or they would take pictures of our signs, or they would be like, what's this person's name? I'm going to Google them when I go home. So yeah, it was a really successful day. I didn't expect it to blow up. Like I got a lot of attention from people like messaging me being like, that was such an awesome thing you did. And I want to go if you do another one. So it was a really cool experience.
That's great. I want to address this. So I love these people that come in. So they think I all have hair plugs now. I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm fucking almost 47 years old. I have a crazy balding gene in my family. I'm bald as fuck, and I don't give a fuck. That's the funny thing about it. I don't care. I think it's funny. They try to find like the smallest, minute little thing. I admit it. I'm bald as fuck. And I'm still beautiful, and I'm handsome, and I look great. So yeah, keep sending in the trolls. I love it. I love it because they sit there. They hate me so much, Lauren. This is what they do. They watch my show. They watch my shows. This is what they do. I love it. I don't give a fuck. I'm bald as fuck.
Trolls are gonna troll.
Hey, I don't care because I'm beautiful. I still look great. I have a nice jacket on. We're having a good conversation.
Very dapper.
I'm very dapper tonight. I'm very dapper. I don't care. And by the way, it's all natural. It's all natural. Like, who cares? It's fucking hair. It doesn't make who I am. So I know who I am. Anyway.
We all know your heart, Brian. And that's what matters.
I just think it's funny. Like, it's the funniest thing. Oh, those hair plugs. Like, there's no hair plugs, dude. I'm bald as fuck. And I don't care. That's the funny thing about it. Anyway, but I'm beautiful. Let's do this, Lauren. Let's go through I thought Ted Daniel did a phenomenal job. Actually, when I was out with Karen the other night, we talked about it. And I think that part 2 to the interview was great. And I had a lot of conversation with Nathan, Karen's brother, about how, everything that we've always seen with Karen, it's always been like very formality to the case, like what happened that night and what did you do and did you drink, all this shit. But we never really heard the kind of, I want to say, the human side to her. And I felt like this interview did this. So it's about 36 minutes. Lauren says she still hasn't watched the whole thing all the way through. And I'd love to review this and kind of have, I'm going to say like fun with it, but hear your thoughts on it. Let me know at any point in the video if you want to stop and discuss. And I thought that we could do this tonight. So let's play through this interview.
Let's do it.
Let me know if you can hear it all right.
How many nights do you think that you stayed at a hotel?
Boost it a little bit
since this legal saga began.
Since the legal saga began, trial was every bit of 10 weeks, and then a week or so leading up to it. So that's 100 days, 90 plus days, and then every hearing at least one day. And just not having a license and being out in the suburbs. Now I don't have my house anymore. So
sad, right? Exhausted all of her resources. Exhausted all her resources.
I'm always the transition of where I'm staying. So, and when Alan and Liza come in, and now Bob, and if it's one of our experts, time is of the essence, and I like to be involved in everything. So I certainly don't want my legal team convening, and I'm not there. You miss one day of this case on this legal team, and you're behind. We just got a discovery dump today. This tends to happen right before a hearing. We get discovery. I wonder if part of that is preempting us saying in court in open forum that we're still waiting on this, and this. So then we get it.
Still getting discovery to this day. Isn't that amazing? First trial's already concluded. Still getting discovery. Still getting evidence to this day.
That's crazy.
It's insane. How can you have a fair trial? How can you have a fair trial without all the evidence being presented there, people? How is this case not thrown out? How is this case not thrown out at this point? It's disgusting. It's disgusting what they're doing here.
And where was that evidence this whole time?
Yeah.
Why are we just getting it now?
Yeah.
Who was sitting on it?
Let's just start throwing it out there now. Might as well give it to them now. We're going into April, right? But then we'll contest everything that happened in the first trial that supports Karen Read. We'll just keep, throwing roadblocks at her. Yeah, that makes sense.
Before we're back in court, but we just got a dump today, and it's nice because the lawyers are coming in, and we're kind of all combing through it. We'll sit down tonight and go through it. We'll have time again tomorrow to go through it. So staying with them helps foster this logistically.
During this time where there is no trial, we see you in court once every 3 months. But what's going on when we're not seeing you? This is it, right?
This is it. I work on the case every day from when I wake up. I'll take a few breaks. I'll have dinner with friends or with my family or both. But the hearings, those are easy days. I mean, they're easy for me. I don't have to do anything, but it's all the days in between. Now this is the second trial. So for any given witness, there's the initial police reports, or in some cases, no police reports. We've got the state grand jury. Then we've had a federal grand jury, and now a trial, and then any interim police reports that involve some of these witnesses. So it's layers of statements, and the inconsistencies are seemingly endless. So there's always work to do, and it's like finding a needle in a haystack, that the report may look at a first glance to read the same, but then you read it 2 or 3 times and it starts to sink in. We were just looking at a police report, my father and I, a couple mornings ago, an early police report from January 29th by Michael Lank with the Canton PD. And I've read this so many times that I don't know if I've become desensitized to it, but he says to Matt McCabe when he goes into 34 Fairview, if John got in a fight the night before. And I always read that as
if— And that's documented?
That's documented in the Canton police report from that day, 3 years ago, nearly to the hour to right now. But now that I read it, I'm like, of course he's being asked if he knew of John getting into a fisticuffs, because John looks like he was.
Right.
And those are things that I read in the moment when I was arrested and then arraigned on February 2nd. And I don't quite know the contours of what I'm dealing with. I first think that this is just mistaken. I was hysterical, I was drinking, and they just got the wrong person. And then piece by piece it came together. Like they got—
Yeah, crazy how Karen goes, I just lost my train of thought. That it looked like John had been in a fight, and Ted went, yeah, right. It was like almost like he was like, I don't want to say he's necessarily, I'm not going to put words in Ted's mouth, but I kind of got the impression that maybe he's agreeing with her a little bit here. I think he's coming a long way from watching his reporting over like the last 2 years in this, and how I feel like he's come back around. And I think as far as for a mainstream media outlet and a person in the mainstream media, I think he treated this interview with a lot of respect, and treated Karen with a lot of respect and all this. And I always say that the best interviewers, what do I always say? The best interviewer does what? Shuts the fuck up and lets their guests talk. You don't want to hear from me. You want to hear from them. Yeah. And I think you just did a really great job. All right, we'll keep playing through. Let me know if you want to stop at any point.
They got the right person. Okay. I'm the wrong person, but for them, I was the right person. Now, 3 years later, looking at a police report that I got on February, actually, David came and brought it to the holding cell at the Stoughton District Courthouse on February 2nd, right before I was arraigned. You see something every time that you just can't see without repetition. Your eyes like preempt what the next word is, what the next sentence, and it doesn't have the same meaning to you today on January 29th, 2025 that it did in 2022.
So are you going through all the police reports that you've looked at prior and all the statements?
Yeah,
You're going through everything again?
You got to go through everything again, because every time you get something new, it's not what is this on its face in my case, it's what's changed. What are they saying now versus what did they say 6 months ago, 12? 18 months ago. So
Crazy, huh? That you have to go back that. And then that's going to be something that they're going to have to use on the stand, because if they call Jennifer McCabe back, she tries to change her fucking story again, the umpteen times that she's tried to do it. I can't remember. I need the documents. And we're going to go over that on Sunday. Lauren and I are going to have some fun with that. But can you show me? I don't know. I mean, she's going to play that dumb game again, you know, when she gets up on the stand, if they call her up on the stand again. She's going to repeat this whole thing. I don't remember. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know. You know.
Yeah. I'm not sure what I
they're
said.
always doing.
What's that?
Oh, I was just mocking her, saying, I'm not sure what I said.
Yeah. Exactly. Oh, I lost you. Hang on. There you are. All right, let's go.
I mean, I've got some things in a spreadsheet. That's how my mind has always worked. But some things you just have to read. You've got to go through the court minutes, go through the transcripts. But a police report today, you know, we'll read something. Liza and I were on the phone on the way up here, and it's wait a minute. What did this witness say, or what did this responding officer say back on February 10th, 2022? Well, now he's saying this. So you've got to always compare and see what's changed.
Do you feel like you've gotten more astute doing this now for 3 years?
I feel I understand now how it's I understand better how it's gonna play in court. I think of things I was texting David constantly in the early days of this. I'd find something and I think, well, can't we go talk to this person? And they'll say it didn't happen that way. And now I know better how tough it is to get, and especially in my case, how tough it is to get something admitted. Even going into trial with my seasoned attorneys, there were things we thought we could show, like an exhibit, for example. Like
this is
one
crazy.
witness, Christina Hanley.
Listen to this.
The key part of her forensic report at the MSP lab, and she's just a scientist, a civilian, but the glass on the bumper that was photographed on the bumper does not match the cocktail glass. Does not.
Huh.
And that's not allowed in. It's not allowed in. Let's go back and listen.
Admitted. Even going into trial with my seasoned attorneys, there were things we thought we could show, like an exhibit, for example, like one witness, Christina Hanley. The key part of her forensic report at the MSP lab, and she's just a scientist, a civilian, but the glass on the bumper that was photographed on the bumper does not match the cocktail glass. Does not match the cocktail glass. So that means it's from another piece of glass. So that had to have been two breaking events. There's the glass that was found around John's body, the base, I think it was Lank that pulled it out with his gloves on, or maybe it was Buchnick, the base of the cocktail glass. That is scientifically proven by the state police, Christina Hanley, not to be the glass that was on the bumper.
On the bumper. But I think the jury was left in the first trial with the impression that it was the glass.
Yes, because it's so confusing. Nothing's referred to as the cocktail glass or the bumper glass or the lawn glass. It's 7-1 item 5
Right.
or item A, or 7-12 items A, B, C, D, and E. And then there's more glass found by Proctor, and that's 7-13 item A. And when you have the scientist who, my guess is worried that we're trying to impeach her when we're in fact not, we just want her to present the report.
Yeah.
And this is, you know, I don't know when she testified, but it's mid-trial, it's 2 p.m, it's 80 degrees outside, and
It's more than that.
you see jurors' eyes glass over, and I know what's coming. I know what that report is, and it doesn't come out cleanly. So
It doesn't stick.
we were thinking going into trial, we could summarize what she was saying using her own acronyms and abbreviations. Here's 7-12, here's 7-13, no match, something like that. And that exhibit was denied.
Why was it denied? Do we know? What was the reasoning?
Because it would help exonerate Karen Reed. Come on, Lauren. You know this is all played out. It would help exonerate Karen Reed. It's a simple fact. And like Karen said, this is about power. She's been saying that all along. This is about power.
Yep.
And it goes back to the simple fact that if Karen Reed is not convicted of killing John O'Keefe, what happens? The dominoes start to fall.
Yep.
the people that are involved, the law enforcement, the law enforcement, the retired law enforcement, all of the McAlberts, it all falls on them, and all the connections don't hold up. That's a super power family. They're all interconnected. I mean, you've seen the tree before that Court TV put out. They're all connected.
Yeah.
And if that falls, then guess what? People start looking in deeper. We need to investigate them a little bit more. What else have they been hiding? What else have they been also involved in? The chips start to fall. So this is someone that was not well connected with any of these people. Like Karen said in the first interview, we started making poor choices of the people that we were hanging out with. She didn't know any of these people hardly. And guess what? Killed John, and they fucked her over.
Yep.
And we're going to stick it on her.
Yep.
Simple
Pin it
fact.
on the
That's what
girl.
happened. Pin it on the girl. Here we go.
So we were learning on the fly things we
And that
thought
happened at Sidebar, correct? Because I don't remember.
it happened at Sidebar.
Okay. So this is
Thank
a very familiar
you.
spot in Boston for you. This is your old life.
This is my old life
This is
that I
sad.
go by probably once a week. I took the train in and out of South Station every day to where I lived in Mansfield, and I'd come out the back, and this is where I worked for 15 years. Fidelity at 245 Summer Street. And
Equity analyst was your title.
I was equity research. My role was a sector specialist, and it was in this building at 245.
Do you still stay in contact with any of the people you work
I
with?
do. I would say about half of my donations have come from former colleagues at Fidelity. Half of what you're aware of that you can see has come from former Fidelity colleagues. So it's funny, Ted. I was sent home from Fidelity from that building, I want to say the second week in February 2020, the pandemic. And I remember talking to someone on the subway. I took like a 2 p.m. train back to Mansfield. I was talking to someone else who had been sent home from a job, a different facility.
Because of COVID.
Because of COVID. And we were saying, well, we'll be back in a week, right? 2 weeks. Little did I know, I'd reconnect with someone I had dated nearly 20 years earlier in 2004. I'd be working from home for 2 years, and then he would be tragically killed, murdered. And I've been framed for it. And I never would set foot in that building again. So it was a pandemic, and then I was suspended from Fidelity officially as soon as I was indicted.
Is that their policy?
I would think so. I would think so, that it means there's been some due process.
Is there hard feelings about that? Or could you even have kept your job even if you wanted
I could
to?
not. I would not be capable of having that responsibility.
you are.
I don't know what just happened.
And
It was like you were there and then you were gone.
Yeah,
She was
my
there,
screen
and
just
then
went
gone.
blank for a second, and it was like log back in. I was like, okay.
All right, here we go.
trying to save my own life. I was bitter at first, but I understand it. I just had such strong, tender feelings and I still do, for Fidelity. I would have stayed there forever. I was very happy there. But as former coworkers have reached out, have donated incredibly generously, I feel like, all right, it's the company is the people, and they've been there for me. And
do you miss that?
I miss working every day. I miss just being ordinary and not feeling like people are looking at me everywhere I go.
Does that happen?
It's a great
does.
follow-up
I don't know
question.
that everyone is, but I know people approach me everywhere I go, and I have to imagine there's people who aren't approaching me that recognize me. But I've come to terms with the fact, Ted, that this is what my purpose is.
Wow.
In my life. It wasn't working at Fidelity. It wasn't teaching a night class at Bentley. Those jobs are replaceable. Someone else is doing the job. Someone else is teaching. Someone else is the dean at Bentley now that my father's gone. And we're here to shed light on the corruption that exists in this state. And I feel humbled by it in some ways. It's a nightmare, and I wish it never happened. But I also feel that I can handle this, and I don't feel weaker. As it goes, I feel stronger. And the public support is a big, the restoration of my reputation, which was a big loss, has re-energized me, has energized me, rejuvenated me. But this is what I'm here for. And I get messages constantly from, mainly from people I've never met, and from people that are suffering. And it's a lot of women that have either had like a physical loss of a spouse or a child, or an illness similar to mine, or with a colostomy bag, or have been the victim of police harassment, or some type of unfairness with the criminal justice system. And there's a lot of suffering in this world. Mine is just very visible, but I do feel honored isn't the right word, but I'm humbled by it. And I feel like this is your purpose. And a lot of people have purposes thrust on them that they didn't really want.
Wow. Can you imagine, like, having to put that all into perspective, that essentially everything that has happened prior to this, and I don't want to say like doesn't exist or didn't have meaning, but now at this particular moment in that SUV during that time of when she says it, that this is her particular purpose on this planet in this very moment. That's incredible hard pill. I guess I would say a hard pill to swallow, to be put into this position, to be dragged through the court and lose everything, monetarily, your reputation, and then having to come to terms like, no, but this is my purpose now. And if I'm here in this situation, maybe it helps others.
Yeah. She said in the first interview with Ted, I remember something along the lines of, this is, I thought I was doing something else on this earth, that her purpose was something else. And I think that Karen is the definition of when life gives you lemons, you make lemonade. She has really just totally embraced it. And that sounds bad. I don't know. I don't like saying she's embraced it, but she's made the best of it, I guess. She's really stepped up, and her case, I think, is really just the beginning of a domino effect that's exposing the corruption in Massachusetts. And I think that not many people would be able to handle what she's going through. I think a lot of people would have taken a plea deal, knowing they were innocent, but seeing what was happening to them and not having the resources to fight. It's happened before. There's so many innocent people sitting in jail right now and sitting in prisons. And I think that Karen's attitude of positivity and embracing this as her role is admirable, to say the least.
Yeah, and I don't think you're wrong by saying having to embrace it, because I guess you would have to embrace it, because this is you in that moment. Like, you have to embrace this, because if you don't embrace it, then you don't believe that you can make it through it. And I know she 100% believes that we can make it. She can make it through it, because she had a speech the other day at dinner and simply talked about that, because at that dinner we had kind of a round table of where everybody that was invited kind of stood up, told their story about their life and how they got involved in the Free Karen Read movement. And that was a very, wow, that was such a privilege to be part of that, because here's the woman that's sitting right in front of you that you've before this dinner and before getting involved, like I did here on this channel, I had absolutely zero connection with. I just said that I got to do something here. I don't know. Like, is this a calling? Is this my purpose? Maybe it is, but to have that person in front of you, to have them really listen to your story and why you did this was pretty incredible. But she stood up and said, I sat after she blew out her candles on her cake. She said, I had to sit here and I listened to, X's story about this, and their neighbors won't talk to them. And I listened to, X person and said that their coworkers won't talk to you. And she said, I listened to Brian's story, and a lot of people that he's grew up with have backed away from him and won't talk to him anymore because his position that he's taken in supporting Karen. She
Yeah.
said, but if you're in my shoes, all of the people that do support you would give you that amount of courage to keep continuing to fight and push forward. And I truly believe that, like if you don't have people, like Alan Jackson said, when I had the opportunity to go and sit during the first trial, he basically said, like, if it wasn't for all of you, the independent media, the creators, the boots on the ground people that are supporting Karen, this
Yeah.
would be a completely different case for her. Absolutely.
Yep.
Would she have broken? I don't know, but that big push of support behind you, every day that you're getting out and facing the world, I guess would give you a lot of encouragement to keep pushing on.
I like to think that the FKR movement has really given Karen strength. I mean, we all know she has a fabulous family. She has
They're
absolutely
wonderful.
phenomenal parents. Just really stand up people, and their support, I'm sure has gotten her through. But I can only imagine that having a huge support in your community and, in your state just makes it a little bit easier to know that people have your back.
Yeah, and I mean, even getting the encouragement from the reads, like,
Yeah.
I'll get a text message sometimes from I correspond with Nathan a lot and Kelly a lot, and they might just drop me a message and say, "Wow, what a fantastic show last night," or "You had a great guest on," or "You did really, really good," or "Thank you for help raise money for Karen," and that encouragement keeps us going. It really
Yeah.
does. All right, let's go back to the interview here.
So people will stop you on these streets. What do they say to you?
A lot of times, so I just went to the cobbler to get shoes that I'm going to wear to court this week that I wore out during trial. And the cobbler on Tremont Street and someone in the shop said to me, just very respectfully, hang in there. And a lot of people are pulling for you. I hear that probably the most, if I could generalize the sentiment. We're pulling for you. Hang in there. I was walking through the common when the weather was.
I'm gonna pause right here. Funny story. So the other night at the birthday, I gave her a card and I had put some money in it because obviously money is good in Karen's life. She needs some money. So I donated some money to her for her defense. And she opened the card and was like, who's this from? Who's this from? And I was like, oh, it's from me. And she says, Brian. And she takes the money out and she's like, what are you doing? Like, like, well, you're crazy. And I said, well, I heard during your Ted Daniel interview that sometimes you have to, visit the cobbler. I said, why don't you use this to button up your shoes if you need to do that? And it was, we had a little bit of a laugh, but it was a sweet moment. So really
I
cool.
just wanted to add something really quickly too.
Sure.
When I met Karen back in November, we had a conversation and we really connected about our families, because my family is very similar to Karen. My family is very close. We have a group chat, and I'm not going to drop my last name, but the group chat name is Team Last Name.
Yeah.
And we really bonded over how close knit we are with our families. And I've been going through a life transition the last 6 months.
Mhm.
And I wouldn't have been able to get through it as well as I have without my family. So truly, I just think that Karen's family has given her so much strength to move forward. And Mizzy left a comment that said, that's why guilty people take plea deals, because they can't afford to defend themselves or have support. They also think it's easier to get a few years in prison instead of being convicted. Beyond financial resources of a defense, the support of your family and a community makes a humongous difference.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. I 100% agree. Let's go back to this here.
Warmer in the fall with an old friend from Fidelity, and someone just was running, some guy maybe about 25, 30 years old, running through the common, and he waited until he passed me. And this was about 5 o'clock. There were people everywhere, and he just yelled, "Free Karen Reed." People will yell that in a busy area, but it's constant. And it's heartwarming to me that this is my old stomping grounds. I used to live here in the building on the other side of this park lane. That was my first apartment. I met my best girlfriend there, and then I started working at Fidelity.
Were you in your 20s when you all
I was
started?
in, I was in my 20s when I started at Fidelity. I'd been somewhere before that, but this area is comfortable to me. And there was a year that was kind of in hibernation where the general public did not know the truth of what had happened.
Right.
So I didn't know when I went out, what are people thinking? I would go check my mail or bring my garbage barrels in at night. I'd wait until
That is insane. That is, and we lost Lauren. If we had a fan in the room, it would be great right now.
I had to go let the cat out of the door
No,
or
it's
out
funny.
the door. She was scratching.
It would be hilarious if you had a fan in your room and it was running right now. But I think this is absolutely insane, Lauren. I don't know if you heard Karen here. There we go. Look, no, go ahead. Go back up. Go back up. It's like we're in a courtroom. Yeah, it's great. It's absolutely insane to hear Karen that she was so worried when the trial, when she first was initially arrested and let out, that she literally would wait to go out and drop her trash at night, that to not be criticized, to not be looked at. It's crazy.
When I started at Fidelity, I'd been somewhere before that, but this area is comfortable to me. And there was a year receptive to it. I mean, if we're having a rough day with the case time, and then I'd go out to the street on Gilbert.
Here we go.
Go check my mail or bring my garbage barrels in at night. I'd wait until nighttime, and then I'd go out to the street on Gilbert Street, where I used to live in Mansfield, and I just didn't want anyone looking at me or wondering or judging. And now I can only go out when I have energy and I'm ready to engage and I'm receptive to it. I mean, if we're having a rough day with the case or something personal, I can't just go out and be anonymous and just sit and
because someone will approach you.
Someone will approach, but it always feels good.
Yep.
And it makes me think, right, these are common people. These are the jurors.
Yep.
And I've had one experience with someone saying something negative to me, and I've had.
So what is your cat's name?
My mom's cat is Phoebe.
Phoebe. Okay. Well, hello, Phoebe.
She was scratching at the door. That's why I had to go open it, or she would have torn up the carpet.
Every time we went somewhere on an average night or an average lunch outing, 20 people. In the summer during trial in this neighborhood, we'd have 15 to 20 people just to go out for lunch for an hour. We'd get stopped that many times. It does feel good. The contrast with what it was like before this, before people knew, it does feel good. It's just takes a lot out of you.
Have you always been high energy and sort of on the move, or have you had to sort of reach deep?
I've always worked well under pressure. I've had other challenges in my life, and I always feel stronger after I overcome them. What I've had to learn to do is keep things in perspective.
Man, and thank you so much for the $2 super chat. I appreciate that. It's a great show, Brian and Lauren. Thank you. And free Karen Reed. Thank you. Lauren's going to come back on this Sunday. We're going to do a morning show. We're going to go through the Jennifer McCabe 227 Google search and, have a little bit of fun with it and just talk about how ridiculous it is. But it'd be great to review it because it is one of the biggest sticking points in this case, and how preposterous it is that she can't remember fucking anything when Alan Jackson's asking her questions. It's all by design. It's all fucking drummed up by Lally. I mean, she knows. I mean, she knows the answers, but we can watch her ridiculousness in that. And Lauren will actually be live in studio with me. She'll sit next to me and we're going to go through it together. So here we go.
Not let the evil that's entered my life take over how I feel about people in general.
Yeah.
And that's another reason when I'm out in a busy area, it's like, right, this is humanity. It's just, there's a few powerful people who don't have good intentions that have a lot of control over my life right now.
Yeah.
But I've been I would say, high energy. I mean, I was sick for a while, so notwithstanding that period, but I don't usually crumble under stress.
In your day-to-day, sort of since the first trial ended, would you say that, do you get any free time? Like if you're going to decompress, like what's that going to be? What's that? Do you like listening to music? Do you have shows, books? Where do you find that sort of, where do you get that rejuvenation from?
I feel the best when I'm working on the case. if I have a dinner planned with someone, and inevitably the conversation at the dinner table always turns to the case, or someone comes over and wants to talk about the case.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I do have shows. I try to make it a policy, Ted, unless something is really pressing that comes up at night. I try by 8 or 9 o'clock.
Just let it
to
go.
put
Right.
Yeah.
some thoughtless
Self-care.
TV on, a
Yep.
reality show or a movie, something fictional that I
Music.
wanted to see, just to help me sleep.
Yeah.
And the first year, the first 6 months, a year of this hell, I had nightmares. I dreamed about John. I dreamed about finding him. I had this recurring dream that he survived but didn't know what happened to him. I've
Wow.
not had that dream in a long time. But I found I've got to try to force my brain to shut off, and then it becomes muscle memory. Then by 10 or 11 o'clock at night, once you practice, in my experience anyway, once you practice a routine enough, it becomes easier.
When does the day start? If it ends around 8 o'clock at night, are you working from
Thank you, Chrissy.
8 a.m. to 8 p.m. typically?
Yeah, I mean, there's breaks. I'll take breaks. I'll do stuff. Until recently, I lived in my house. I would do projects. I'd wallpaper,
Thank you,
paint, or work
Cindy.
in my yard. Just for health reasons, just to get fresh air, get sun on my face.
Do you ever running, or do you like?
Yeah, I actually sold my treadmill to my neighbor when I moved.
Oh.
So I don't really run anymore. I try to lift weights every day for at least 20 or 30 minutes. It just,
Is that also therapeutic?
yeah, it is. I listen to music all the time.
Who do you like?
U2 is my favorite.
Okay.
But I love anything. I love classic rock, alt rock. Seems all my friends are getting into country or have been.
Yeah.
And it's an acquired taste. I'm trying.
Yeah,
I just love this part of the interview. It just sounds like us, like talking in the car. It's types of conversations that we would have, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, what music do you listen to? Oh, I like this, that. Oh, my fucking friends are like into country and I'm trying and I can't do. I mean, it's very humanizing and just brings her down to earth.
Yeah.
Because the way that we've seen that she's been portrayed in the mainstream media, I just think this is a really great interview. I'll be honest, I'm a little jealous because this would be the interview that I would want on my channel. So, hats off to Ted for getting it.
Yeah.
Listen, I hope I have the opportunity someday. I think it'd be really cool to sit down when this is, over and Karen gets to decompress and walks out of that courtroom and starts to kind of rebuild and go on with her life. But, I think it would be cool someday to get that. So
I agree. It humanizes her. A few people in the chat, and I saw Mizzy said it earlier. It does. It really humanizes her. Hi, Jessica.
Yeah. We got a couple more minutes here with Lauren. We're going to finish this up and we're going to head out, but we're not going anywhere yet. So everybody that's here, just stay. We're good. We're going to finish up the video, get our points and have a final thought. And I have a show planned for Sunday, but I have like some family stuff going on. It's with the private investigator that's going to join. So I may have to move that a little bit, but just hang in there. I'll find a time at some point, but definitely on Sunday morning, Lauren and I are going to have that show. That's going to be at 11 o'clock. We might start a little bit earlier, but it's definitely going to be scheduled. It's on the calendar for 11. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Lauren will be in studio with me. So we kind of wanted to do a kind of a warm-up stream so she kind of get used to this because she was a little bit nervous. So let's do something virtually, get you kind of warmed up about our chemistry talking on camera, and then she'll be fine. Sunday she'll sit here, we'll make her comfortable, and I think it'll be great. All right, let's finish this one up.
I haven't
Let's
jumped
speed
on
it up
that,
just a little bit.
that bandwagon yet.
I can't. I've been told my music all sounds the same, so I don't like telling other people that, but I kind of have to tell country music fans that this all sounds the same to me.
Have you been able to survive the last 3 years without falling into a depression, or have you? And come out? Are you still in it?
No, I haven't, Ted. I felt grief.
I had
loss
one
of
on
John.
for a while, yeah.
And I've never been with
we're
someone
real life
so
friends.
intimately, and then they're just gone from the earth.
What's that, Lauren?
I said, yes, we're real life friends too.
We are real life friends.
It's not like other relationships I've had where at least they're there. You may pass them on the street or you may text them. the day after he died on January 30th, David told me I needed to hire a private investigator, and I did right away. And on January 30th, he drove to my parents. It was still snowing the day after John was killed. My PI picked me up and he said, we need to go retrace your steps.
You did that on the 30th?
I did it on the 30th. And
Wow.
it was one of the worst days of my life. No disrespect to my PI, who I love. And I'm sure he was equally uncomfortable, but I could barely even get ready to leave. I'd just cleaned up for the first time. I'd still, up until that point, still had John's blood in my hair. I didn't have any clothes because I didn't think I wasn't going back to John's house. And we retraced my steps, and I drove by John's house, and there had to have been 20 cars, maybe more, wrapped around the block. And I felt like I was looking in on my life.
It's crazy.
From the sky. That window, all my things are in there. I was just in there with him. And now I'm gone and he's gone and he's never going back. And they're mourning him and I'm not there. And so those first few months, I think I started to get my sea legs. My two best friends, my best friend and her husband came, and we rented an Airbnb in Newport for 3 days at the end of March. It was cold. It was raining the whole time. We had dinner and then we just went back and talked about the case. And it was very emotional, just a lot of emotions from all of us. And they had spent a lot of time with John. And David reached out to me while I was down in Newport. He said, we've got some discovery. And we hadn't gotten anything but the initial police report.
This is March 20.
This is late March 2022. I was reading the...
Let's stop this really quick. Marianne, thank you so much for the 5. Says, love your show. And yes, you are handsome, meme. Really hard on sleeves. Thank you. I appreciate that. I don't know. Maybe I'm too nice. Maybe I need to go back to being like a fucking dickhead. Maybe that'll pull everybody back in here again. Maybe I'm just too nice, Lauren. That's what it is.
No, because then it's inauthentic because you're a nice person.
I am's who I am. That's what Popeye said. I am's who I am. And that's all I can be. Am's or whatever the hell he said. I don't know. I don't fucking know. Some days, I'll tell you, some days I just want to throw it all away. And then there's days that just keep me pushing and pushing and pushing.
Yeah.
And, real quick, here's a moment that kept me pushing. So Nanette is a Massachusetts local. She's a Free Karen Reed supporter. She has been out at hearings with her family. She's been at court dates with her family. And, I'm connected to her on my personal Facebook page. And I saw that she's going through a very tough time. She has a very rare case of stomach cancer, and she's a sweetheart. And I've talked to her quite a few times and said she loves the channel and supports us. And I saw this meal train come up because she's going to have a difficult time with getting meals and feeding her family during her treatments. She's going in for surgery on March 19th. And then, is going to have some treatment. And the shit thing about her cancer, from what I'm reading, is that it's so rare. It's 0.1% of people actually get this type of fucking, can you believe that? 0.1. And the shit thing about this as well, because cancer just fucking sucks in general, is that she has this gene in her body that it could potentially keep growing back. So as they get rid of it, it comes back. As they get rid of it, it comes back. I'm back. So I saw this meal train come up. Her goal was very low. I think it was like $18.75 at the point. I went live for half an hour and I said, let's just get this goal to 3,000. And I didn't realize it was going to be a progressive goal, but we hit the 3,000 in a half an hour of like 300 people in the room, spontaneous, impromptu. And we reached that goal. And I said, I wanted to hit the goal by 5:30 today. I want 24 hours. Let's hit this goal. Let's get Nanette the money there in the bank that this family needs. So I watched it all day and I just kept waiting and seeing the donations coming in. And then it kind of fell short at about 5:15. And I'm like, I ain't fucking not going to lose this goal. So I think she needed about another $305. And there's still donations coming in. So I ended up 3 hours ago. I topped it off. I put the 205 in there. We got to $5,001. It's going to release this money to a family that's just in need. And it was a proud moment here. on the LTL channel to be able to do that. So,
Like I told you the
what
other night, Brian, you've done a lot of good on this channel. You help a lot of people, and you've helped Karen a lot too. So
Yeah, I mean, if that's supposed to be my purpose here, no matter how big the audience is, how small it is, I know what I've done here. I
yep.
know what the people have done here to help. I know the subscribers that come to this channel and the members. And I want to continue to do that. And maybe, and again, I'm going to drop the link here for Nanette. If anybody wants to donate, please, please, if you know
Yeah.
Nanette, let's get, keep getting that goal up. But maybe that's what my calling is on this channel. Maybe it turns into something different after this moves
Yeah.
on from what we're doing here. I love to continue to do what I can do.
Yeah.
I've used the funds on this channel, and that's what jokes, I laugh about it. They all say we're grifters. We all say that, we take this money and we don't do anything with it. And, I wanted to start this channel with a sense of purpose and have some meaning to it. And if I can give back to my community or people in need or whatever, let's do that. Let's
Yeah.
use the
We
money
gotta
that
support
comes to
our
the
own.
channel. Let's use the money that comes to the channel to fucking do that. I work a full-time job, let's some of this income that's coming in, let's give back to the community here.
Mhm.
We did billboards. We've donated a lot of money to Karen Reed. Let's help someone out that's helped us.
Yeah, exactly.
Nanette has watched this channel, has supported this channel, has probably gave me a couple super chats here and there. Let's give back in this
Yeah.
time of need,
Yep.
and that's why I urge, the people that have this audience, grab that link, fucking share it on your channels.
Yeah.
Let's start helping some of the people that help us.
Yep.
And if you don't, then that whatever. But I know I can't sit there and watch shit like this. I got to do something about it. So,
Yeah.
and I appreciate all of you that helped, that
Yep.
chipped in and got that goal up there. That's a phenomenal thing to raise $5,000 in
Mhm.
24 hours. It's incredible for a
Yeah.
good cause.
I think that the Free Karen Read movement is become just like a beautiful thing. We really are a community and we have each other's backs, and I think it's going to continue on far after the trial is over. We've built something here that's significant and meaningful.
I think it's honestly brought out the best in people. I mean,
Yes,
we've seen the worst in people, but I think it's brought out a lot of good too.
I agree.
A lot of people
100%.
have come out that probably haven't felt that is inside of them, and it brought it out. And
Yeah.
to go make a sign and stand out. I mean, I hear a lot of people's stories like, I never would have thought about making a sign and standing out,
Yeah.
and they do. And that's pretty
Yep.
cool. All right,
I
Lauren, let's play through the last 15 minutes of this. I know it's getting late for you. You got to work tomorrow. We'll wrap this one up. I appreciate you being here.
I'm just gonna put my fan on for one quick second. The
Yeah.
cat's scratching again, so I gotta let her out.
Yeah. Appreciate you.
Discovery, and they were implying in this report from Michael Proctor that I had deleted ring footage from John's house. That was the first time. It almost jolted me, Ted, back to you've got to start fighting. They're coming for you. This is not a case of they misconstrued my behavior or were told things that weren't accurate about me that morning. This was, oh, now they've got me deleting things. This is nefarious. What they're accusing me of is nefarious behavior, and the way they're doing it is nefarious. And I realized then when they drove me back to my house in Mansfield, this is getting even more serious than it already was. And I had my routine dealing with the grief, and it was, I woke up every morning, I prayed. I missed the kids very much at first, and my dad would come. John's niece and nephew. My dad would come over almost every day, and the O'Keefes had taken out a stay away order almost immediately, within like 48 or 72 hours. So it wasn't even an option to reach out to them. It was like they were gone too. And my dad picked up my rosary beads, which were on an end table in my living room. And he said, when you think about them and you feel helpless that you can't reach out to, you just pray for them. That's all you can do. So that was part of my morning routine. I would read, I would pray, and because I was up very early, And then I started to get into this routine of working on the case from like 10 a.m. whenever it started to get dark. And I'd call one of the attorneys, or I'd call someone in my family or one of my friends, like, you know, this doesn't sound right. This doesn't look right. These times aren't right. These names aren't right. And then it's been a steady, I get really charged by, I feel like I'm fighting. I'm covering ground.
Excuse me.
And I'm doing something constructive. I can't litigate this. I don't know legally how to maneuver, but I can at least help provide my attorneys with the materials they need to put together a motion or a cross-examination. I can do that dirty work.
How much of the day-to-day decisions are Karen Reed?
I have a strong vote in the decisions. I will always defer to Alan and David and Liza. They know best. They have the experience. But the longer this goes, I have more confidence in my decisions. Things I've suspected were happening or that are going to happen have happened. And I think that's because this is my only experience in this arena, and it's been very negative. And the motives of players in this on behalf of law enforcement are disingenuous, to put it mildly. And I think David and Alan have a wider sample with wider outcomes than I do. They've worked with honest cops, honest DAs. So I'm much more pessimistic right now. And therefore, I just happen to be better calibrated than they are.
It sounds to me like maybe it wasn't a seminal moment, but there was a time that, you know, the grief was so heavy, and it's almost like you felt you were getting backed into a corner by what you were seeing in like the filings and the accusations, that kind of...
I think I channeled the grief into something constructive. And then somewhere in the middle of it all, I think I know that the lowest point of this whole thing for me, apart from 6 a.m. on January 29th, was getting rearrested. And now I wasn't expecting it. I wasn't physically expecting it. I wasn't mentally or emotionally. And then legally, I didn't even know you could be upcharged. I didn't even know that was a thing. I was expecting to be indicted because of, you know, ham sandwiches, but I wasn't expecting to be indicted for intentionally doing this now. And so in the middle of all that, there's no time. There's no space to mourn anymore. Think about your previous life. It's like they've held me back at the starting blocks, and they've had this massive head start. I've got to catch up, and I've just got to put my head down and work. And it's been like that ever since. I mean, even if I get away, if I go see friends in Florida, I stay and work on a case, and then they pick me up for dinner, and we go out for 3 hours. And then it's, you know, I'm getting some vitamin D and some sunlight, but other than that, it's the case. And that's how I feel best. I'll be so happy when it's over, but until I'm acquitted, this is the only thing that calms me down. I feel good going to bed at night knowing I've put in a solid chunk of time, that if I have to sift through these lies and this knot of lies, I'll just undo it thread by thread, and I'll take whatever you want to dish out.
How many pieces of paper have you put your hands on in this case?
I worked a lot online. A lot of it is in Dropbox, and that was necessitated by being in this car and getting a call from, like, the whole ride up here. I was talking to Liza, and we just got Discovery, and there's not time, and it's not really efficient to print out whatever we got today, 200 pages, and digest it. But I can flip through my phone or my laptop. So, but if I were to convert it to paper, Ted, at this point, it's probably around like 10,000, I'd say, on top of videos, hundreds of Ring videos, hours of video from the waterfall, from CF McCarthy's, voicemails, phone records, even that, you know, we downloaded Jen McCabe's gray key extraction. We were in the physical analyzer for Celebrate. We don't even know where to start. Do I look at when was her phone unlocked? When was it vertical versus horizontal? Was there a temperature change in the phone? Was there an elevation change?
So that's pretty wild. And I talked about this the other day with the temperature change, and I put a tweet out, and I talked about I put a tweet out, and I posted a thing on Facebook, and I said, temperature change. Okay. Well, I wonder if anybody's ever analyzed the temperature change of John's phone. The good thing about it is, who has John's phone? Karen. So I wonder if that's something that they ever looked into, because if it would help coordinate time when they dragged him outside. And again, I don't know if it can tell temperature in the sense of like the temperature outside, but maybe battery temperature. When was it hotter? When was it colder? And I know a lot of people chimed in this. Again, I'm not an expert in this, but I think that would be something that I would look into as well too, and line that up with the timeline. Makes sense, right?
Yeah. And I think the other thing she mentioned about the elevation change, I think that another huge key piece of evidence, especially if they can't use ARCA. I think that using the fact that the health data showed John went up 3 flights of stairs is going to be a huge piece that establishes reasonable doubt, because the Apple Health data doesn't lie. So
Yeah.
I think that the elevation, I think his phone data is very valuable information.
It's funny. I'm going back to the beginning of the program with the comment, the fucking hair plugs comment. I just shaved my fucking head, you moron. Like, I had a shaved head for 6 years. I don't know. Like, literally, I've just been laughing about that the entire show. Like, do you really think I would spend that amount of, I would just shave my fucking head.
Yeah. The whole time I've known you, you had a shaved head. And then
I've had a shaved head.
When I saw you in person a few weeks ago, you just took your hat off and you're like, oh, I'm growing back my hair. I was like, whoa.
And give it like 2 more months. My hair's fucking short right now. It's gonna grow back out. I love it. I love the trolls. I love it. That literally has been in my head all night. That's why I've been laughing. I think it's
hair
hilarious.
plugs take like time too.
I
to
would
get in, I'm
shave
pretty
my
sure. It wouldn't be that
I would never put hair plugs in. I would shave my head again. I love it. I'm 47 years old in 2 weeks. I don't give a fuck about hair. I love it. They always attack your hair. Oh, his hair. I don't care. Like, women still say I'm attractive. They're attracted to me. I love this shit. I love it. I love the trolls, man. And they watch. That's the funny thing about it. They watch and they're like, all right, what can I say? Like, literally, they pay attention to my fucking appearance. I love it. I love it, Lauren.
Was the phone unlocked?
That's how granular you're getting?
Yeah, because you just don't know what's like John's phone, for example, when it was locked, when it was in when the backlight was on, when did he read his last text? And Jen, for example, we went through all her location data. Well, Rick Green did, but then Rick gives us access to Celebrite, so I can go through it myself. It wasn't until trial started, the jury was impaneled, and Rick called us and said, you know, on a whim, I started looking at Jen's location data for the days immediately following January 29th. And does this address mean anything to you? And it was Michael Lang's address.
Well, that came
up
crazy.
And that came up at trial. And then they tried to preempt it by this police report that we got after Jen took the stand, after she's already gone, saying, yeah, Jen was there. I don't know what her story was, trading cupcake recipes with Lang. Once again, at a lead investigator's house on this case, but he wasn't there. She was talking to the
I love that.
which is a story.
Right, and she said she never got out of the car.
Said she never got out of the car. This was, I think, the date at Lang's house was January 30th. It was still snowing that day. It's freezing, but she doesn't get out. They sit, and she said, I think she said it could have been a half hour. They're just sitting in the driveway, which doesn't make much common sense. Right. But that location data had to be parsed from all her location data that comes in latitude and longitude coordinates with like 6 decimal places. And if you see negative 42.873565, it doesn't mean anything to you. You've got to then translate it to a map using another software, and then a lot of it's all around her house, and then maybe it's at the grocery store. And
did that come from the feds?
That Jen's phone, Jen turned in herself. But it's so tedious, and that was a big data point that she was at his house, and we didn't find it until 2 years into this.
Wow.
Geofence data.
So it's not as if.
What's that, Lauren?
The geofence data.
Yeah, I think you're gonna hear a lot about that in the second trial.
I agree.
Yeah.
I'm retreading tracks, trying to find something I might have missed. There's always more.
Must drive you nuts.
And now that the case is so public,
it must drive you nuts. Like going back over all this data again. Like I gotta go all the way back to the beginning. Like you said, did I miss something? Did I misinterpret something? You're literally going over it, and then you're in your head, and you're like, all right, did I do that? Did we do that? Did we see this angle? It's crazy. It must drive you crazy. Absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
And people are so supportive. Now it's trying to digest these tips and which ones are fake, first of all.
So people send you tips.
We get tips constantly. A lot go directly to David and or Alan. Some come over Facebook. Some go to the administrators of the social media pages.
What is the normal procedure? Your attorneys will meet several days, the night before, like
whatever they can afford to do.
Yeah, Alan Jackson's coming in tonight for a Friday hearing, and so are you essentially war rooming until that hearing?
Yeah, we'll war room. We have a few tips we want to follow up on. Alan tries to jam the schedule. If there's somebody that wants to meet with us that might tell something useful, we'll schedule it. We'll cram in as much as we can get in.
So you're still developing information?
Yeah. We got information today about John's phone that is exculpatory.
But from outside source as well, not
from outside. Yeah, no, from outside. But sometimes, Ted, it's the internal discovery that opens up another door, another rabbit hole we've got to go down that might make sense with something we've heard. It's constant triangulation of what do we know? What have we been given in discovery? Of that discovery, how much can we actually rely on? How much do we think is manufactured? And then does it dovetail with anything we've heard from people in the community?
Right.
I mean, if I could afford to, I would have the lawyers and I'd have more PIs. My PI's great, but we throw everything at them, and we'd be trying to follow leads.
Is your private? Does your private investigator work full time for you?
No.
So
no.
It's as it comes. So.
Yeah. Sometimes I won't speak to him for a month, but he's always following things, following the case, and just give him a heads up, day's notice, and he's going to meet us tomorrow in the afternoon to track down a few things. A lot of it ends up being nothing, or it's something that's not admissible. A ton of it is hearsay, which is something I didn't know anything about going into this. Well, someone heard from someone else that parts of the basement were replaced, or something was broken in the house, and can't go anywhere with it.
So does Robert Alessi then, does he take part in like this sort of day-to-day stuff, or is he more focused on sort of, like he was critical in the Dr. Russell? So is that, are portions of the case divvied up then to different people to work on?
Yeah. So ideally we would be full-time trial prep, or at least full-time for me. And when the lawyers are working on my case, it's trial prep. And now we've gotten this curveball for these dog work requests that it's, and we're expecting more. So we've gone through Dr. Russell on the dog bites, now Rick Green on the Google search.
So for people who don't understand this, so you only had 6 people testify in the first trial, and for the second trial, the prosecution is trying to prevent
most of them.
How many experts are they trying to prevent right now?
I don't know where they're going to go with ARCA, but I think
yes. So they did file a motion about the ARCA guide.
They did file a motion. They actually filed an intent to file the motion. About ARCA. They're trying to accuse us of a discovery violation that they don't have all the available information on ARCA. I didn't hire ARCA.
Right. And that information can only come from the feds.
That information can only come from the feds. So that's 4. We're not calling back Frank Sheridan. And that just leaves Lucky Lawford. He's the 6th one.
Okay.
So there's no other. If there were more witnesses, I'd probably have more of these hearings.
And Lucky's still.
Lucky still didn't see a body, Ted. Okay. I picture every day that they're working on framing me, and every day that they do that, and I'm taking the day off, they're getting one day ahead of me. Mm-hmm. So I only feel relaxed as I can be if I'm working on the case.
Do you think there's a greater purpose in all of this?
I am not the first person this has happened to. I'm not going to be the last, sadly, but maybe there'll be fewer after me because of this. I think it's happening to people in this, I know it is, in this county, in Essex, and Norfolk, and Suffolk, and Bristol. It's happened too easily.
Were you surprised when a new prosecutor was appointed, and an outside prosecutor?
Nothing surprises me anymore. What troubles me is how evil people are. And you don't need to have a strong opinion about my guilt or innocence, but you can't be an attorney in the Boston area and not see this case for what it is, and then to want to thrust yourself in it and think you can prove this beyond a reasonable doubt.
And you said you're still receiving discovery or evidence from the state. How does that make sense after you already had a trial?
The state told us, and Canoni has echoed this, that this is a whole new trial. It's almost like a whole new case. We started getting discovery from...
That's how they're getting away with it.
Debate stamp 1, page 1. Some of it is duplicative, and a lot of it's new. We've gotten brand new reports from Ian Whiffen, data that we've never seen before. From Jessica Hyde, there's a doctor now, not a medical doctor, but like a veterinarian expert.
This is all by purpose. This is we've gotten through the first trial. Now let's fuck them more and throw a whole bunch of other stuff at them so they can dovetail through all this and have to rip through the weeds and red tape and they're going to have to work overtime, and we deplete the resources. This is what they're doing. It's exactly what the Commonwealth is doing. It's by design, people.
Yep.
This is design. Couple more seconds here, about 15 more seconds. We're going to end this. We got a final thought, and I have some breaking news really quick, an article I want to share really quick.
Just found out today, measured supposedly Chloe's teeth. No address, no contact phone number.
Did they take molds of the
Yeah.
teeth?
They measured the teeth, yeah.
That's it. What do you think, Lauren? That was your first time watching it.
I think that was a wonderful interview. I think, like you said, it was like you were just chatting with a friend in the car. I think the fact that they did it in the car helped with that. It really humanized her. I think that it really painted her in a good light. I think that was a great interview, and she made a lot of good points too.
Yeah. Well, let's do this really quick before we end. Breaking news. Academy director and others suspended amidst allegations of misconduct at Cape Cod Police Academy. Do you want to read it real quick? We'll go through it.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. An investigation is underway at the new police academy on Cape Cod following allegations of misconduct by multiple staff members. According to the Massachusetts Municipal Police Training Community, East Falmouth Academy Director Christopher, I think it's Doline, and Academy Coordinator Edward Dunn have been suspended, and all staff instructors were temporarily removed from the position pending an investigation into improper conduct between staff and student officers. The suspension stems from an incident at the MPTC, says they are alerted on February 26th. Details of allegation misconduct were not immediately available, but the letter stated any form of hazing, harassment, and misconduct is unequivocally unacceptable and goes against the core values of integrity, respect, and professionalism. Lauren, they got a fucking problem in these state police academies. I don't fucking care what any, in all due respect, Senator is saying right now, David Meyer, investigator, is saying right now, anybody that's talked about the trooper Enrique Delgado Garcia, we got to calm down. We got to wait for the investigation. No, it is fucking happening right in front of our eyes. And I've been on this from the beginning, man. This is a bunch of bullshit that went down, and that's why this guy got killed. That's why this guy got killed. And I'm talking about Enrique.
I've always had this feeling once more information came out about what Enrique himself had been saying and other former cadets. I think it was a hazing gone very wrong.
Mm-hmm. After reviewing and collecting documentation on February 27th, the MC sent a letter to several local police chiefs alerting them of their investigation and asking of their student officers if they knew anything. Why was this not done in Trooper Enrique Delgado Garcia's case? The same fucking thing should have happened. The same fucking thing should have happened. This is the report that we needed out there. Oh, why? Because no one died? It was just harassment? Is that why? So on the same day of all staff instructors of East Falmouth Academy were temporarily removed from their position and replaced with personnel from another MPTC Academy, according to the letter. Quote, the safety and well-being, the ethical development of our recruits is top priority. The MPTC letter read, we are reinforcing our policies, training, and oversight to ensure that the highest standard of professional and accountability is upheld. An investigation remains ongoing. Let's see. MPTC academies train recruits to work at local police and other departments, including recruits are typically sponsored by local police. Okay, let's see. East Falmouth. I'm going to see if there's any quotes here. Cashier version. Okay. There's been a heightened focus on police training since the death of Enrique Delgado Garcia. He died in September from his injuries he suffered during a boxing match. Bullshit. At the Mass State Police Academy in New Braintree. An open investigation of his death remains ongoing. The full letter to the MPC sent to local chiefs can be read below, and I will get that posted for everybody to see. Lauren.
This is personal because I grew up on the Cape and I'm living on the Cape right now. So
Hey,
Something stinks in Massachusetts.
between me and you and my hair plugs, there's something going on really crazy. There's something going on here, and I've been calling this shit out from the beginning. Look it's not all what happened in New Braintree, in a fucking new facility down in East Falmouth. It's fucking happening there too. It's happening. So it's something that we need to talk about and raise some questions, bring some eyes to it. And I'm going to send this same article to Senator Moore. I'm going to send it to my friend Todd McGee. I'd love them to opine on it. Let us know. So, again, I think that's going to end our show for tonight. What'd you think?
I thought, like I said, I think that was a great interview, and I really enjoyed it. Thank you for having me on. I'm looking forward to Sunday, and Saturday I will be at the Born Standout 1 to 3. So come say hi, hang out for a little while. But yeah, and otherwise, I hope to see everybody back here in the chat on Sunday.
Cool. All right, everybody, we're going to head out, and I appreciate everybody watching this evening. I'll be down at court tomorrow at 9 a.m. Supporting the boots on the ground in Karen as well. I can't wait to get out there. It's been a while. I'm actually feeling well enough to get back out there and do this, and I got the day off. So I will be down there tomorrow supporting Karen. All right, everybody, I'm going to hit the outro. Again, Lauren, thank you for co-hosting with me this evening, and we'll see you back here on Sunday live in the studio. Everybody have a great night. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.